Material finishes. When materials are shaped into different forms and go through manufacturing processes, to complete a project, they often have to go through another process called finishing. Some materials do not perform well in certain environments or may look visually unappealing and would therefore need to be finished before being sold or delivered to the customer. For example, have you ever painted a wooden fence with stain to make it look nicer or to give it protection from the rain? What about ferrous metals? For example, steel. Products that are used outside. What surface protection would you apply to stop it rusting or corroding? Finishing a material is generally completed for one or more of the following three reasons. Protection, so UV resistance, corrosion resistance. Aesthetics, make it more appealing to look at. And functionality, applying on surfaces for extra grip. Finishes for metal. Painting. Before applying paint to bare metal, you have to apply an undercoat called primer. The primer acts as a level of protection and also allows the paint to stick properly to the surface of the metal, giving it a nice finish. Paints come in many colors and act as a barrier between the elements that could corrode the metal. The paint on a metal product would need to be continually applied if it is used outdoors. Paint is often used for things such as bridges, cars, buildings, ships, and garden furniture. Plastic dip coating. Plastic dip coating is mainly used on ferrous metals to protect them from corrosion, as well as applying some color and an easier to grip surface. The ferrous metal would be heated and dipped into plastic powder. The plastic powder would then melt onto the surface of the heated metal, creating a barrier between the ferrous metal and the immediate environment. Plastic dip coating is used on door and garden hooks, as well as tool handles. Powder coating. Powder coating is similar to plastic dip coating, but rather than dipping metals into plastic powder, the powder is incredibly fine and is sprayed onto the metals. Products that are powder coated can be white goods such as washing machines and fridges, as well as products used outdoors such as car wheels and bike frames. Hot dip galvanizing. Galvanizing is used on ferrous metals such as steel. Steel is used extensively to manufacture products that are used outside, so street lights, railings, drain covers, car frames, etc. As it is low cost and easy to fabricate, shape and weld and join. However, being a ferrous metal, it is likely to corrode, rust. Galvanizing is a finishing process where steel is dipped into a bath of molten liquid zinc, a non-ferrous metal. The zinc coats the surface of the steel, thereby making it corrosion resistant. The thickness of the zinc layer is controlled by an electric current during the process. You may be wondering why not make the streetlights from zinc in the first place. Does zinc have the same properties as steel? Is it the same cost to produce? Abrasive sheets. Non-ferrous materials are often used for projects and go through processes that either scratch the surface or leave dirty marks. To clean the surface, abrasive sheets called wet and dry can be used to smooth the surface. All abrasive sheets are graded in terms of how coarse, rough they are. For deeper scratches, you would start by using wet and dry abrasive sheets with a lower number, coarse. To quickly remove the scratch and finish by using wet and dry abrasive sheets with a higher number, fine. Wet and dry sheets are graded by grit. The grit can range from 60 grit up to 7,000 grit. 60 grit is very coarse, whereas 7,000 grit is extremely fine. Buffing, also known as polishing, is used on many surfaces to get rid of marks and smudges that may have appeared on products when they went through various manufacturing processes. Buffing can be done by hand with just a cloth and polish. However, in a workshop environment, it is more often done with either a handheld buffing tool or a buffing machine. The buffing machine will use a disc made from cloth that is called a mop to rotate at high revolutions per minute, RPM, and the project would then be placed against a mop for polishing. Anodizing. Anodizing is mainly used on aluminium. Although extremely corrosion resistant, the surface of aluminium can very slowly corrode over time and certainly discolor. Anodizing uses an electrochemical process to increase the thickness of the naturally protective oxide layer, external layer, of the aluminium. This is done whilst adding colourful dyes to the process, making the aluminium product far more weather resistant as well as being more decorative. Products such as bike parts, window frames, watches and anything using aluminium are commonly anodized. Enameling. Enameling is the process of covering metal surfaces, most metals can be enameled, with a fine glass powder that is heated until the powder melts, thereby creating a glass, shiny barrier on the surface of the metal. Enameling can be highly decorative and also protects ferrous metals from corrosion. Some common products that are enameled are cups, plates and jewellery. The finishes for wood. The type of finish applied on wood depends on the environment in which the wood product is used. Here are some of the more common finishes that can be applied to wood. Varnish. Varnish is a finish that can be applied to all wood and creates a clear transparent barrier on the surface of the wood. Varnishes come in different finishes such as matte, gloss, satin and can be used for indoor or outdoor purposes. Yacht varnish, polyurethane varnish, is used externally on many outdoor wood products, including small boats and yachts. Paint. Paint is a common finish for wood and often needs an undercoat before the finishing coat is applied. It comes in all different colours and finishes and is used mainly for aesthetic purposes. Oils and waxes. Oils, for example Danish oil, and waxes can be applied directly to the surface of wood and permeate goes into the wood fibres. Given the wood protection against moisture, they can be buffed, polished to create a glossy surface or applied with satin and matte variants. Stains and preserves. Wood stains and wood preserves have a lower viscosity than oils and paints and are easily soaked up by the sponge-like fibres of wood. They are designed to permeate deeply into wood, creating moisture barriers for external products such as sheds, benches and fences. Stains also come in many different colours for aesthetic purposes. Finishes for plastic. When discussing finishes for materials, plastic is unusual in that it is self-finishing. This is a common property of most plastics, along with being moldable, low cost and corrosion resistant. So, what is self-finishing? Self-finishing means that plastic does not have to go through another process to finish the material or the product made from that material. The advantage of having a self-finishing material is that it eradicates the need for manufacturing companies to buy extra equipment, arrange extra space and train extra staff to complete the additional processes of finishing. Underneath here we have some molds with a glossy smooth finish and also a rough textured finish, something similar to what you would find on a bottle top. So how is plastic self-finishing? Plastic is shaped by being heated and formed into or onto a mold. Once the plastic has cooled enough to become a solid and it is moved from the mold, it will have the same exterior surface as the one that was on the mold. So if you wanted a plastic product with a smooth and glossy surface, you would ensure that the mold had been polished and also had a smooth glossy surface. Alternatively, if you wanted the plastic product to have a rough and textured surface for grip, you would make sure the mold had a rough textured surface. There are exceptions to this. For example, the motor vehicle industry typically paints plastic bumpers and trims so that they are the exact same color as the car that they are fitted on. This is for aesthetics reasons.